Amy, Alex, Lane and Chris, Heather. 2, 3, 4. Doom, 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 doom. Doom, 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 doom. Took a trip on a bus that we didn't know. Met a girl selling drinks at the disco. Said truth comes back when you let it go. Seems complicated cause it's really so simple. Walking down Elm Street on a Friday. Can't follow them, gotta do it my way. No fast lane, still on the highway. Moving in and out, no doubt. There's no time to get down cause I'm moving up. No time to get down cause I'm moving up. No time to get down cause I'm moving up. Ah, check out the crowds in the bucket. It's like flies on the windscreen, riding on walls. Square bits, clothes, baby, having a ball. Fooling themselves just before last call. Tick-a-tick-a-tock, tick-a-tick-a-tock. Clock strikes 12, clock strikes 1. Smoking guns, but there's fools on the run. I know it's not that simple. I know it's not that hard. No time to get down cause I'm moving up. No time to get down cause I'm moving up. No time to get down cause I'm moving up. Ah, check out the crowds in the bucket. It's a conniption fit on the microphone slit. I take it high like a bird on the wire. Retire the fire I never, cause I'm just moving on up. Choosing to touch the unseen, craving the clutch. Damn, the heroes were created by sun. Then I'm looking in the water for reflections of man. Understand the length of time when it's empty. MC tragically hit ahead by a century. No time to get down cause I'm moving up. No time to get down cause I'm moving up. No time to get down cause I'm moving up. Ah, check out the crowds in the bucket. No time to get down cause I'm moving up. No time to get down cause I'm moving up. No time to get down cause I'm moving up. Ah.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the First Unitarian Congregation of Ottawa. My name is Justine DeJager, and I serve as the Treasurer on the FirstU Board of Directors. Normally, if you would like more information about FirstU, it would be available at the welcome table at the back of the pews. However, while the FirstU building is closed because of the COVID-19 virus, you may instead contact us through email at welcome@firstunitarianottawa.ca. I repeat, for more information, please email us at welcome@firstunitarianottawa.ca. After the service and future services, our normal hospitality hour will be replaced by a virtual get-together. If you would like to join us for the hospitality hour on Zoom, please see our website, www.firstunitarianottawa.ca, or our weekly email newsletter, the UU, for information on how to do so. Whatever your heritage, whatever your faith, whomever you love, and however you identify, today you are a part of our spiritual community. Welcome. We hope you come back soon.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Chris, and I'm happy to be your worship associate this morning. Although the doors to our building are closed to do our part in preventing the spread of the virus, we are still a vibrant congregation with open minds, spirits, and hearts. This morning, I welcome you into my home and the homes of this morning's board member, our music director, and this morning's speaker, as well as into the home of one of the QKids on the block choir members, Alex, where we recorded our song for you. Thank you for welcoming us into your home. It's a beautiful thing to think about how, even though we are in separate places, protecting ourselves by staying away from a crowd, here we are together online, listening, connecting, and soon singing. I hope this moment finds you well. A few more announcements. While the building is closed, staff are working remotely, and they're monitoring emails during usual working hours. Phone calls will be checked less regularly, so please email for a quicker response. Since we aren't seeing each other in person, it's more important than ever to receive our UU weekly newsletter, to check the Facebook page and web page for notices and updates. Our online calendar is as full as ever. Today we welcome a guest speaker, EN, who's joining the FirstU community as our new intern minister. EN will speak about their journey of accepting their queerness and recognizing that it's something God celebrates, finding faith which affirms this in Unitarian Universalism. We look forward to their words later in the service.
Today's chalice lighting words come from one of my favorite queer and Black authors, James Baldwin. He said, quote, "If the concept of God has any validity or use, it can only be to make us larger, freer, and more loving. If God cannot do this, then it's time we got rid of him." End quote. May the spirit of this community make us larger, freer, and more loving, now and always.
Chalice, chalice, burning bright, help remind us with your light of how we'd like to live each day, with love and truth helping lead the way.
Today's Time for All Ages story is called On the Playground, our first talk about prejudice, and will be read by my daughter Harmony.
On the Playground, our first talk about prejudice. When you are with other children at school or on the playground, you may hear unkind things being said to or about other people. Sometimes people are teased or made fun of because they're different. Seeing this behavior or hearing these words might make you feel angry, sad, or confused. It's good to question what you hear other people say or how other people act, especially when it feels hurtful. When I was at the playground today, I saw a boy getting teased and bullied. The other kids were calling him names. I felt bad for him. I understand how you feel. I feel the same way when I see mean things happening around me. The world can be a complicated and confusing place. It's hard to know what to do in these situations, even as an adult. What is it called when something like this happens? We call this kind of behavior harassment. And when someone is harassed because they are different, it's often due to a prejudice held by the person who is being mean. Why would someone pick on a person just for being different? Picking on someone because they're different, which is acting in a way that is prejudiced, is something people learn. Children who say unkind things probably heard important adults in their lives saying similar things. And those adults may believe that being different is bad. Why do adults say mean things? Adults aren't perfect. Just like children, they make mistakes and can be mean sometimes. And beliefs about other people's differences are often passed along from generation to generation. You may have the same thoughts and feelings as your parents do, who may have the same thoughts and feelings as their parents, your grandparents. These mean or disrespectful ideas can be passed down from one generation to the next without anyone realizing it or thinking about whether these thoughts and feelings are right or wrong. Sometimes people hurt others because they are afraid of what they don't know or don't understand. And sometimes they do it because they were once hurt like that themselves. How did that boy feel when those kids were so mean to him? People who are bullied feel a lot of different emotions: anger, sadness, and fear. They could feel lonely, misunderstood, and excluded. It could be hard for them to get over those bad feelings, especially if mean things happen to them a lot. I felt angry too when I saw that was happening. I think it's wrong. Yes, harassment and prejudice are wrong. It's natural to feel angry when you see people being hurtful to others. Even though there are differences between us, we are all equally important. Each one of us deserves love, respect, and equal opportunity, regardless of what we look like, how we sound, or how we live our lives. Learning to understand and appreciate what makes us diverse, and to see past differences that might be scary or misunderstood, helps us accept one another as we are. What can I do to help? What could I have done for that boy on the playground? If you see something happening on the playground, in your classroom, or somewhere else, you can go get a parent, teacher, or adult you trust and ask for help. You can approach the child who has been hurt and check in on them, introducing yourself. If you don't know them, or just saying hi might make both of you feel better. Take some time to look at yourself. Think about whether you have any thoughts or ideas that could be prejudiced or hurtful to others. It can be really difficult to look at ourselves like that, whether we are children or adults, but it's the first step in changing for the better. The key to respect and acceptance is understanding. Take time to learn about the many diverse people in the world around us. Look for things we share in common as well as differences you can admire or appreciate. There are so many. Then share what you're learning with the other kids and adults in your life. That's right, you can set a good example for grown-ups. Think carefully when you hear another person say something that sounds like it might be hurtful or based on prejudice. You don't have to believe something just because someone told you it's true, especially if it feels wrong. Use your own learning and knowledge about the world around you to make up your mind, or ask a grown-up you trust what they think. We can practice being good role models for the people around us. We can work against prejudice by behaving in ways that are inclusive and respectful of everyone. Ask your friends about their families, their beliefs, their cultures, and traditions. If someone has differences you are curious about, ask them. Understand, though, that sometimes it's hard to talk about differences, so be respectful if someone doesn't want to share. Learning about others, changing for the better, and standing up to prejudice help make the world a safer and more respectful, inclusive place for everyone.
Good morning and happy Pride. My name is Deirdre Kellerman and I am the Director of Music here at First Unitarian. Today is Pride Sunday and it is one of my favorite services of the year. It's extra special because today we are welcoming Ian Hill, our new ministerial intern. I'm so looking forward to their sermon later on in the service, as well as getting to know them throughout this year. Today's music is written, composed, arranged almost exclusively by people within the queer community. I'm really excited to introduce you to this music, and I encourage you to sing as well as listen to the words, to the music. They're really important today. I'm also very excited to welcome QKids on the block, a small choir for people of all sexualities and all genders. Thank you for singing in our service today. Enjoy the music, enjoy the words, and happy Pride.
With open hearts, open arms, open minds, there is a welcome in this place. There is a welcome in this space. There is a welcome with embrace, with open hearts, with open hearts, open arms, open minds. There is a welcome in this place. There is a welcome in this space. There is a welcome with embrace, with open hearts. A place of caring and acceptance, openness and trust, actions that are just. All are welcome here, a place of belonging, a place for risking and affirming, radical and bold. No one fits a mold. All are welcome here, a place of inclusion, with open hearts, open arms, open minds. There is a welcome in this place. There is a welcome in this space. There is a welcome with embrace, with open hearts. A place for healing and releasing, brokenness and pain, heart that's been sustained. All are welcome here, a place for receiving, a place to question and to wonder, liberating views, relevant and new. All are welcome here, a place for engaging, with open hearts, open arms, open minds. There is a welcome in this place. There is a welcome in this space. There is a welcome with embrace, with open hearts, with open hearts, open arms, open minds. There is a welcome in this place. There is a welcome in this space. There is a welcome with embrace, with open hearts.
This is the time in our service when we are drawn closer to the heart of love at our center and hold those both near and far, loved ones and strangers, in our hearts. For those you are thinking of, for joys and concerns. Today we have a stone for Joan, who is recovering from an injured foot. We also have a stone for Reverend Pat, who is celebrating her birthday today, actually, so happy birthday. We have the usual stone that symbolizes the joys and sorrows that remain unspoken in our hearts and minds. And for our Pride service today, we have one last stone for everyone in the 2S LGBTQ community. Some of us have found our place, have found happiness, places where we can be ourselves. Some of us still experience fear or rejection from family, friends, or the community. There is still far too much homophobia, transphobia, and violence in the world. Like the ripples of water, we hope that our feelings of love and acceptance will spread through our web of interconnectedness and will help change the world one person and one action at a time. Let us share in a moment of stillness together.
It's important for us to remember that Pride started as a riot, and it is still a protest as well as a celebration. The next hymn that we are going to sing together talks about the Stonewall Inn and the Stonewall Inn riots. It has been 51 years since those riots in New York that were led primarily by trans women of color. It's important that we don't forget about them and that we don't stop talking about what started Pride and what started this liberation movement. Enjoy this next piece.
Days of rage and days of hope, days of claiming dignity in a world that fostered fear, days of daring to be free. So today we offer thanks for the ones who raised a din, challenging a world of hate. 3 nights at the Stonewall Inn. Years of joy and years of pain, building up communities, claiming power, growing strong, care and courage face disease. Now today we offer thanks for the ones who struggled on, Stonewall's children, everyone, dead and living, here and gone. Lives of pride and lives of love, trans and lesbian, bi and gay, bringing blessings to the world, glad that we were born this way. All our days we offer thanks for the people we've become, Stonewall's gift to every age, making of this world our home.
celebration of LGBTQ pride in Ottawa, I like to share my journey of accepting my own queer identity and finding a religious tradition radical enough to also accept my queerness. This will be a story of my path towards Unitarian Universalism, a testimony of what I call my third birth, an experience of being reborn and blessed with gifts of queer magic. The earliest childhood memories I have are of me talking to God. I remember spending hours playing alone and talking out loud to the spirit that lived inside of me. This was my first impression of God, my eternal companion and best friend. We went everywhere together, but my favorite place to hang out was the bathroom. I believed I could catch glimpses of God through our mirrored reflection. I would stare deep into my own eyes, believing something beyond myself stared back. I didn't tell people what I thought about God. Folks already thought I was interesting and kind of strange. Even in my younger years, I was told I acted like I was from California, which basically translated to being called a Martian by my southern relatives who equated San Francisco to living on the moon. Although they didn't mean harm, I felt treated like an alien, somehow different. Weird became the first label I knew as my identity. I accepted it as true, not only because others thought I was odd, but I also thought myself to be a bit unusual, even queer, perhaps. It wasn't until I was introduced to the Black church experience that I began to understand what it meant to be unorthodox in the 1990s. Almost every person I knew from my childhood identified as Christian or believers in Jesus. The Bible was regarded as the inerrant word of God, the law for life. As a child of a single mom, I was taught that God was the only father I ever needed. Wanting to please this new father of mine, I joined Friendship Missionary Baptist Church at the age of 8 years old. I even got baptized to save my soul. I didn't really understand why my soul needed to be saved, but I remember hoping that baptism would maybe make me more normal. I thought I would come up from the water and feel less weird. But instead, I was subjected to the threat of hell with its fire and brimstone. I grew to always be worried about escaping sin and demons from Satan's army. By the time I was a teenager, I thought my weirdness was linked to me being gay. The God I used to talk to in the mirror had become my harshest critic. His word made me think everything about me was wrong, and all I could do was pray for forgiveness, pray to be changed. It was an abomination to be gay. It was a sin for girls to like other girls. God only made man and woman. There was no such thing as non-binary. I often heard LGBTQ folks labeled as disgusting, perverted, and bound to burn in hell. I adopted all of these perspectives of myself, and for years, I truly believed I was an abomination. I begged God to save me from eternal damnation and felt deep anguish that my Father seemed to ignore my pleas. I developed extremely low self-esteem and fell into functional cycles of intense depression. At one point, I resorted to forms of self-harm, hoping I could cut my gayness away. No amount of prayer or torture worked. When I was 18, I joined the Air Force as a means to repress my sexuality under the weight of the don't ask, don't tell policy. This policy was basically a law that made it illegal to be openly gay in the military. As another tactic of repression, I got married to a man when I was 19 and tried to be the good Christian woman I thought I was supposed to be. Clearly, that didn't last. I was divorced by the time I was 21, and I left the Christian church that same year. From there, I dived headfirst into the religion of hedonism. I indulged in every sinful pleasure available to me. I moved an hour away from my military base to get closer to San Francisco. I started living something like a double life. While on duty, I was a feminine Air Force professional. When off duty, I was a punk rockish androgynous lesbian. My life outside the military looked a lot like a Black version of the popular TV show, The L Word. My character was both Shane and eventually Max. For all who may be unfamiliar with the L Word, this translates to me being sexually liberated and transgender. At some point during my post-Christian years of liberation, I moved to Oakland and encountered some of the most open-minded, spiritually free, deeply educated, radical activists the city had to offer. By my late 20s, I shifted away from the hedonistic party scene and joined the Black, queer, and socially conscious crowd. By being connected to this non-religious group of people who were committed to living ethically without the threat of hell or wrath from God, I was introduced to the concept of secular humanism. I didn't consider myself as a humanist, but I did consider my new tribe as my spiritual community. Grassroots organizing became my church, and protesting my form of prayer. I grew to be a social justice advocate both on duty and off. I supported vigils and protests in my Oakland neighborhood and lobbied for LGBTQ+ equality in the military. Truthfully, though, I didn't actually believe the military would ever allow service members to be openly gay. I was beyond shocked when, in 2011, the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy and the Defense of Marriage Act were both repealed. I had to admit, as happy as I was that such an oppressive law had been overturned, I was also scared. I'd been closeted for so many years that I was afraid to really be myself. I could no longer blame the military as the reason for hiding my sexuality, nor could I blame the church since I didn't identify as Christian anymore. Now, it was just me, and I was forced to face my internalized homophobia. Around this time, I met the woman who eventually became my wife and now ex-wife. My relationship with her inspired me to reconsider my understanding of God. She used to pray and read her Bible before sleeping beside me. Seeing her do this opened up a lot of unhealed wounds from my teenage years. I didn't want to impose the religious baggage that was bubbling up for me, so I sought therapy to process my internalized homophobia. Therapy was extremely helpful for my mental and emotional wellness, but it didn't seem to heal my spiritual wounds. I wanted to go deeper into myself, and I felt I needed to get away from the distractions of my life. So I requested a job assignment and got military orders to South Korea. After a few months of living abroad, I was introduced to a religious tradition called Ekgyana Buddhism. It's a non-theistic religion, but to me, God was just painted in a new light. Buddhism took the belief of God outside of me, the God that was created during my Christian years, and placed it back inside of me as it was when I was a child. In Buddhism, they called it Buddha nature. Through them, my mind was open to unprecedented teachings, and I learned to pray in Japanese. Sacred chants of devotion were scripture sung from the Lotus Sutra. I felt the lyrics were foreign, but yet familiar. Its sounds tasted sweet to my heart and healing to my soul when I recited them. Namu Myoho Renge Kyo, the mantra of faith in the universal law, echoed inside of me and became a favorite melody in my mind. An image of my perfect, unblemished Buddha nature was reflected as kanji on a prayer scroll. It was painted calligraphy symbolizing inner love, power, and peace. Buddhism helped quiet the conflict of my inner spiritual warfare. Through chanting and meditation, I was able to see myself more clearly, beyond the trauma of my past. I saw the magnificence of all of me and began to accept the things I once thought I needed to change. I found salvation in my own radical acceptance. Buddhism baptized me in self-love, deepened my cave of a heart, and filled it with compassion. I started to feel like love was in the air, in the water, in the dirt, in the trees. Seeds of sorrow that were once buried in my soul suddenly blossomed as joy. I began to see God in nature's scenery, and all of earth became my holy teacher. A new dimension of knowledge opened before me like a book. It was the organic wisdom of eco-theology. At this point in my journey, all of my coworkers began to see a change in my spirit, and I was given the opportunity to assist people through their traumas and work-related conflicts. I'd known that spiritual resilience played a critically significant role in my own personal life, and I began to encourage my comrades to consider the divine as a sort of tool that could lead to wellness in any issue. I inspired members to seek military chaplains and other faith leaders, but I was stunned when I heard an inner whisper urging me to become the chaplain I was guiding members to seek. Being a self-identified queer Black Buddhist mystic with earth-worshiping tendencies, I didn't know of a religious tradition that would endorse the full expression of my identity. I vowed to never compromise myself for the sake of religion or tradition again. I believed if I were meant to be a spiritual leader in any community, it would need to be in alignment with me and my form of ministry. I honestly didn't think such a denomination existed. Imagine my surprise when I Googled it and found there actually was a historically recognized religious organization that was as synchronistic as I am. Finding Unitarian Universalism while searching for a non-creedal interfaith fellowship with queer clergy of color and military-level ecclesiastical endorsement capability, I felt like I hit jackpot. Divine wisdom had guided me towards this multifaceted institution. The 7 principles of the association aligned with the principles of my heart. To this day, Unitarian Universalism has been the most ideal fit for my spirit and me. Becoming a UU was like being reborn in the faith that was always intended for me. In closing, I like to share the poem that came to me on the day I started my path towards Universalist ministry. Its title is Third Birth. I don't quite know how to say what I'm about to. I think I'm still in a bit of shock at how strong and clear my knowingness is. It seems the gifts that come after third birth are more magical than I could have ever imagined. I can already sense possible confusion, the wondering of third birth. Let me try to quickly explain. We are all born once into this world, beings from a mother's womb. Second birth, or reborn in Christ, is a common concept between Christian folks, and I was raised to believe that the death after that one reclaimed life's spirit and returns it to the realms of heaven. But what may not be known is that some queer folks, those of us who gave ourselves to evangelical conservative congregations, often found ourselves crucified for simply being, our identity stripped away piece by piece. Harsh, angry words with tips barbed in scripture thrown like lashes across the back of Jesus. Our soul's protective flesh ripped off 1,000,000 times and coated with fake salves of tolerance. My identity was never meant to be simply tolerated. I too am a child of a king, my presence to be exalted, my name deserves praise. Yet, I found myself only uplifted to be placed on a witch's stake, burned alive for failing to conform. This was my second death, the one I begged to not return from. But Spirit knew better, swaddled me like a newborn babe blanketed in Buddhism, sung sweet sutra scented like lotus flowers, blessed me with poetic prayers, bells, and breath. First baptized by water, then by fire, and reborn in magic. This is me now, 3 times as strong and enchanted with gifts of wisdom unknown. I learned to walk in the way of bold, black, brilliant light. Speak first words of love. See the divine queerness, both and all things. I worry I might have confused you even more, but still I know the change in me. I know. I know I've been changed. I said that I know I've been changed. Good God, oh, I know I've been changed. Because the angels in heaven done sign my name. Thank you.
time in our service where we usually accept the offering. You may go to our website or contact our finance manager to find out how you might keep up with your pledge or make a donation during these times. We give these gifts freely. We receive these gifts gratefully. We dedicate these gifts to the work of our congregation, serving human wholeness, caring for our planet, upholding religious freedom, welcoming the stranger, and loving one another.
Before extinguishing our chalice, I'd like to offer words from another one of my favorite queer and Black authors, Audre Lorde. She said, quote, "It is not our differences that divide us. It is our inability to recognize, accept, and celebrate those differences." End quote. May we end today's service in celebration of our many differences and filled with loving acceptance of all of our unique and magical gifts. Be blessed, everyone.